The ranch isn't just about you anymore, Emma. My mother's voice echoed through the barn as she waved the sale receipts in my face. Your brother lost everything in that investment scandal. He needs a fresh start. I stood there, staring at the empty stalls where my beloved horses had been just yesterday. Shadow, my black stallion, who'd been with me since I was 16. Luna, the gentle mare who helped me teach countless children to ride. All gone. Sold without my knowledge or consent. My name is Emma Sullivan, and at 32, I never thought I'd come home to find my own mother had sold my horses behind my back. The ranch, Silver Creek, had been my grandfather's legacy to me. He'd seen something in me that my parents never did, a passion for horses and determination to make something of myself. Where are they? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Mom huffed, adjusting her designer scarf. Probably bought with my horse's sale money. I got a good price from Thompson's Equestrian Center. They're better off there anyway. This place is falling apart, and you can barely keep it running. If only she knew. Did you even have the right to sell them? I challenged, though I already knew the answer. The horses were legally mine, registered under my name. I'm your mother. I have every right to help my children. And right now, David needs this ranch more than you do. He has a real business plan, not these silly riding lessons you give. David, my younger brother, the golden child. The one who could do no wrong, even after losing millions in a questionable investment scheme. Now, my parents expected me to hand over my ranch, my life's work, to him. Where's Dad in all this? I asked, though I could guess. He was probably at the country club, pretending everything was fine while Mom did his dirty work. He agrees with me. Sign the ranch over to David. Emma, be reasonable for once in your life. I walked past her to my office, trying not to look at the empty stalls. Each one felt like a stab in the heart. Opening my desk drawer, I pulled out a folder. You want me to sign something, Mom? How about you read what I'm signing first? She snatched the paper, her eyes scanning the document. Her face paled. What is this? That's my contract with Harrison International Equestrian Centers. Turns out those silly riding lessons caught someone's attention. They're investing $2 million to turn Silver Creek into their premier training facility. Mom's hands trembled. $2 million. The papers were finalized last week. I was going to announce it at the family reunion next month. I took the contract back, sliding it into my drawer. Those horses you sold, they were part of the breeding program Harrison planned to establish here. But David needs to face consequences for once in his life. I cut her off. And you and Dad need to understand that this ranch isn't your backup plan for his mistakes. The sound of tires on gravel drew our attention. Through the barn door, I saw Harrison's legal team pulling up in their sleek black SUV. Right on schedule for our first official meeting. They're here about the horses, aren't they? Mom's voice had lost its earlier confidence, among other things. I straightened my jacket, heading for the door. You might want to leave before they start asking questions about unauthorized sale of contract assets. Emma, wait. She grabbed my arm. We can fix this. We'll get your horses back. Just don't tell your father about this. You know how he gets when his plans are disrupted. I gently removed her hand. You should have thought about that before selling my horses. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting about the future of Silver Creek. My future. As I walked toward the Harrison team, I heard my mother's hurried footsteps heading to her car. She'd tell Dad everything. Of course. They'd probably spend hours plotting how to regain control of the situation. But for the first time in my life, I held all the cards. The family reunion next month would certainly be interesting, especially when everyone learned exactly what their precious David had really lost his money on. I smiled, greeting the Harrison executives. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting back. It's letting people discover just how badly they've underestimated you. Miss Sullivan, Harrison's CEO, extended his hand. Ready to begin the new chapter of Silver Creek? More than ready, I replied, leading them toward the ranch house. Behind us, my mother's car sped away, leaving a trail of dust that seemed to signal the end of her control over my life. The real story was just beginning. The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind of activity at Silver Creek. While my parents went mysteriously silent, Harrison's team transformed the ranch. New state-of-the-art stables were under construction, and the training arena was being expanded to international competition standards. But the emptiness of those familiar stalls still haunted me. "We've located your horses," Marcus, Harrison's head of operations, announced during our morning meeting. "Thompson's Equestrian Center is willing to sell them back, but they want triple the price." I finished, already knowing how these things worked. "They know we need them for the breeding program." Marcus nodded, sliding a paper across my desk. "There's something else. Your brother David? He's been trying to contact Thompson's, claiming he has authority to negotiate on behalf of Silver Creek." Of course he had. I was about to respond when my phone buzzed.
"Dad."
"Princess," his voice held that fake warmth he always used when trying to manipulate me. "We need to talk about the ranch. Your mother might have acted hastily with the horses, but she meant well. David has some excellent ideas for the property." "Does he?" I kept my voice neutral. "Like the excellent idea that lost him his investors' money?" "That was different." Dad's tone sharpened.
He was misled.
"Look, we're having dinner tonight at the house. Come over. Let's discuss this as a family." I glanced at the satellite images on my wall. Plans for Silver Creek's expansion.
"Sorry, Dad."
"I have a meeting with my lawyers tonight." "Lawyers, Emma? Don't be difficult. Family doesn't need lawyers. Tell that to Mom when she sold my horses illegally." After hanging up, I turned to Marcus. "How soon can we get an injunction against my family regarding Silver Creek's assets?" He smiled, pulling out another document. "Already done. And there's something interesting you should see about Thompson's Equestrian Center." The document he showed me made everything click into place. Thompson's wasn't just any equestrian center. It was where David had lost his investors' money. He convinced them to invest in a fictional expansion project, then disappeared with the funds. "My parents knew," I whispered, the reality hitting me. They knew where the money went, and they were trying to use my ranch to cover his tracks. That evening, instead of going to my parents' house, I drove to Thompson's. The facility was impressive on the surface, but I could see the signs of financial strain: delayed maintenance, overworked staff, empty stalls. Mr. Thompson himself met me in his office, looking nervous. "Miss Sullivan, I assume this is about the horses." "Partially." I placed Marcus's documents on his desk. "It's also about the $2 million my brother David convinced your investors to put into a non-existent expansion project." His face went pale. "How did you?" "Harrison International doesn't make investments without thorough background checks. They found the connection." I leaned forward. "Here's my offer. Return my horses at the original sale price, and I'll help you recover your investors' money." "And how exactly would you do that?" I smiled. "Because I know where David's been hiding the money. He's been living quite comfortably in a lake house bought through a shell company, a company registered to my mother's maiden name." Thompson stared at me for a long moment before reaching for his phone. "I'll have your horses ready for transport tomorrow morning." Driving home, I received a barrage of texts from my mother. "Where are you? Your father is very disappointed. David had a whole presentation prepared about his plans for the ranch. You're tearing this family apart." I ignored them all. Let them stew in their schemes and manipulation. The truth would come out soon enough. The next morning, as Shadow and Luna were being unloaded back at Silver Creek, I received an unexpected visit. My Aunt Susan, Dad's sister, who'd always seen through his facade. "They're in a panic," she said, watching the horses return to their stalls. "Your mother's been calling everyone trying to gain support before the family reunion, but she won't say what's really going on. And David, mysteriously absent. Your father claims he's traveling for business." She turned to me, eyes sharp. "You know something, don't you?" I showed her the Thompson documents. Her eyes widened as she read. "The lake house," she breathed. I knew that purchase was suspicious. "Your mother claimed it was an investment property." "It was an investment." "All right," I said, patting Shadow's neck. "An investment in keeping David out of jail." Aunt Susan handed back the documents. "The reunion's in 3 days. What are you going to do?" I looked around at my ranch, my grandfather's legacy that I built into something remarkable. At the construction crews working on the new facilities. At my beloved horses back in their rightful place. At the future I created despite my family's attempts to hijack it. I'm going to let the truth speak for itself, I said, and watch them try to talk their way out of this one. The family reunion was going to be more interesting than anyone expected. The day of the family reunion arrived with perfect weather and impeccable timing. Harrison's team had just finished the main stable renovation, and Silver Creek looked stunning. I'd arranged for the gathering to be held in the newly completed reception hall, a space that screamed success and professional management. I watched from my office window as my relatives arrived, their expressions a mix of awe and confusion. My mother's Mercedes pulled up last, and I could see her gripping my father's arm tightly as they walked in. No sign of David, unsurprisingly. "Everything's ready," Marcus said, joining me with a folder. "Thompson and the investors are in the conference room. Should I send them in?" "Give it 15 minutes," I replied, straightening my jacket. "Let's make sure everyone's settled first." The reception hall was buzzing with conversation when I entered. Aunt Susan caught my eye and winked. She'd helped spread just enough hints about today's special announcement to ensure perfect attendance. "Emma," my mother hurried over, her smile strained. "What is all this? This isn't what we discussed for the reunion." "We didn't discuss anything, Mom. Remember? I was too busy with my lawyers." Before she could respond, I stepped up to the podium. The room fell silent. "Welcome, everyone. I'm sure you're all curious about the changes at Silver Creek. Today, I'm excited to announce our partnership with Harrison International Equestrian Centers." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My father's face darkened. This $2 million investment will make Silver Creek the premier equestrian training facility in the state. And speaking of investments, I nodded to Marcus, who opened the conference room doors. Mr. Thompson walked in, followed by 3 stern-looking men in suits, his major investors. My mother's face went white. Some of you might recognize Mr. Thompson. His equestrian center recently faced some financial difficulties due to a fraudulent investment scheme. A scheme orchestrated by someone in this family. "Emma, you must stop this at once." My father stood up, his voice thundering. "This is a family gathering, not a business meeting." "Oh, but it's about family, Dad. Specifically, about how you and Mom sold my horses illegally to Thompson's, trying to cover David's tracks. How you plan to use my ranch to repay the money he stole." The room erupted in shocked whispers. Aunt Susan stepped forward, holding up her phone. "David's at the lake house," she announced. "The one bought with stolen money. The police are there now." My mother collapsed into a chair while my father's face turned purple with rage. "You called the police on your own brother?" he sputtered.
No, Dad.
"Mr. Thompson's investors did. I just helped them find him." The investors stepped forward, presenting documents that laid bare the entire scheme, how David had convinced them to invest in a fictional expansion, how my parents had helped him hide the money, then tried to use my ranch to make restitution. "We've reached an agreement," I continued, my voice carrying over the chaos. "Thompson returns my horses. The investors get their money back from the lake house sale. And David faces consequences for his actions." "For once, you've destroyed this family," my mother sobbed.
No, Mom.
"You and Dad did that when you decided David's crimes were more important than my hard work. When you tried to steal my grandfather's legacy to fix his mistakes." The next hour was a blur of revelations. Relatives who'd always suspected something was off with David's sudden wealth, others who'd witnessed my parents' constant favoritism but stayed silent, and the investors, sharing exactly how David had manipulated them, using our family's reputation to gain their trust. Through it all, I stood firm, watching years of deception crumble. Finally, as the dust settled and the investors left with Thompson, my father approached me. "You could have handled this privately," he said, his anger barely contained. "Like you handled selling my horses privately? Or helping David hide stolen money privately?" I met his gaze steadily. "I learned from you, Dad. Family business should stay in the family, right?" He flinched at his own words being turned against him. Later that evening, as the last relatives left and the sun set over Silver Creek, I stood in the stable with Shadow and Luna. Their familiar presence was comforting after the day's storms. Aunt Susan found me there. "David's been arrested," she said softly. "Your parents are at the police station." I nodded, unsurprised. "You know," she continued, "your grandfather would be proud. Not just of the ranch's success, but of how you stood up for yourself. I just wish it hadn't come to this." "They gave me no choice, Aunt Susan. Sometimes the hardest part of family isn't keeping it together. It's knowing when to let toxic parts go." Looking out over my ranch, at the new facilities gleaming in the sunset, I felt at peace. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. But for now, I had my horses back. My ranch was thriving. And for the first time in my life, my family saw me clearly. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't just about winning. It's about standing tall in your own truth and letting others face the consequences of their choices.